Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. Have a special topic today. We're looking for those of you, and frankly, we're looking for 4 or 5 of you that would be interested in helping place the $100,000 primary trade line. The $100,000 primary trade line, which we'll describe today, is a unique and valuable instrument, but it does require some specialized training and focus. So we have a lot of inquiries coming in for this, and it has now exceeded, probably has exceeded in the past, but certainly now our bandwidth. So we're looking to send these leads out to those of you that would be willing to help clients get the $100,000 primary trade line set up. So let's first review that value proposition from the client's perspective, and then we'll tell you a little bit about how you could get paid as a Tradeline referral partner if you chose. So let's get started. Why would you want to add a trade line to your credit profile? And I'm sharing my screen here. If you don't see it, let me know. Legally adding new trade lines to your credit report is an excellent way to quickly increase your personal and/or business credit scores by lowering your revolving utilization and/or becoming more fundable by demonstrating that you've successfully managed large extensions of credit. So I'll leave that paragraph highlighted for a second. I've come to the conclusion that there's 2 types of people when it comes to trade lines. Those that understand it, they see the value proposition, they know it's the best thing since sliced bread, and then newbies. Newbies, it doesn't make much sense, it's foreign, and I don't know that it's worth trying to bring newbies up to an area, a level of expertise. But for those of you that get it, you get it, and you realize trade lines are the key to becoming fundable. Primary is better than AU, larger is better than smaller, right? So those of you that get it, this is awesome. If you're not following along, it's okay. This may be just a bit too advanced of a topic for you right now. We've formed an alliance with a nonprofit, a 501c3 nonprofit micro lender, and they're setting up these $100,000 primary trade lines. I see it on a daily basis. It's real. Again, these are real, usable, permanent primary trade lines, not authorized user trade lines. There's a big market out there for selling AU, authorized user trade lines. I wouldn't spend a penny on it if I were you, because AU trade lines, while may give you a false perception of a better credit profile, creditors and extenders of credit understand that it's not yours. And if it's not yours, they back it out of the calculation for during underwriting. So AU trade lines are false hopes. They're real, they're legal, but they're not effective in terms of making a client more fundable at all. Primary is where it's at. As I made reference in the beginning of our Zoom today, we're looking for a handful of trade line referral partners. So it's a much different proposition than we've been talking about in the past. Some of you will be very interested in this. Some of you won't be at all, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. We're looking for 4 or 5 of you that would like to help us with the influx of leads we have. The bottom line is, as a trade line referral partner, you make $2,500, $2,500 on each client, and you're paid that up front, so you're not waiting. The process is crazy simple. So it's not a lot of coddling, it's not a lot of support, it's not very time consuming at all to be a trade line referral partner. Here's how it works. There's really 3 steps. Number 1, the client pays you $5,000. $5,000? Yeah, and it's well worth it. And I'll describe that as we go on with the value proposition. Now, if you wanted to mark it down, you could mark it down, but that's the normal cost, $5,000. We'll call that the the prepaid discounted price for the trade line. You keep half. Now, again, that's assuming that you're selling it for $5,000, you get $2,500, we get $2,500. If you go below $5,000, then no, you don't keep half, because the plan is you make 25, we make 25, and then we'll do the fulfillment. So you don't have any implementation responsibilities at all. There is some specific training. We'll provide training. We'll provide marketing materials. We'll provide leads. There is a cost to get set up. But I've talked to a couple of you about this as we were getting ready to roll it out today. And I forget if it was Brenda or who said it yesterday, but hey, it's not a problem. You just go pre-sell your first client, right? You go get your first client, you collect from them. Now you've got $2,500 in your pocket. So instead of keeping $2,500, you keep $2,000. So in other words, the client pays you to become a Tradeline referral partner. From their payment, you can pay your setup fee if you want. Now let's get away from what's in it for you, which is pretty clearly understood, to what's in it for the client. Because even if you don't want to be a Tradeline referral partner, you need, in my opinion, you need to understand the construct of how this works, because it's often the secret sauce that's allowing clients to get fundable. A number of you have been feeding clients in, and we're getting them into your funding coordinator, and they're getting first tranche financing offers. And in some cases, you look at the offers, even sometimes when they have good credit, it's like, wow, that's not as much as I thought they would get for their first tranche. Well, why is it? Because they don't have a strong enough profile. Sometimes we forget, we talk about the 3 C's: credit, collateral, and capacity. 3 C's. And so sometimes people think, oh, if they've got really 1 C that's really good, great, they should get lots and lots of money. Well, that's 1 C, not 3 C's. Interestingly, the way that this model is set up, it literally provides them all help with all 3 C's. So let's go to the client proposition. Our innovative Tradeline program is like no other. If you've ever seen trade lines that are bought and sold, our program, our approach, it's obviously legal and compliant, but it's completely different. So sometimes it's hard for those of you that have expertise in trade lines to step away from what you've learned and view ours, because ours is different. I think it's better, but it's different. So ours was developed by former SBA and SBDC advisors and SCORE mentors to provide 3 benefits. So our trade lines provide how many benefits? 3 benefits. What are those? Well, let's look. Number 1, we help improve their credit profile by adding new credit. Secondly, we're helping them build their net worth, their balance sheet. So many of you bring on new clients. You're like, oh, my client's new, their balance sheet doesn't show anything. Well, just because it's a new business doesn't mean that they have to look insolvent, that they have to look unfundable. This will fix that. This puts collateral on their balance sheet, and I'll describe more in a moment. And then also it creates capacity. So we talk about the 3 C's. So we're literally helping clients with 1 resource build their credit, have collateral, and increase their capacity. And I'll describe that a bit more, but that's powerful, right? What other 1 instrument can you think of that literally improves all 3 C's legally and ethically of a client? I don't think there is another one. So let's dig a little deeper. So first of all, it's important to understand, we do not sell trade lines. We do not sell trade lines. You might say, well, this sounds crazy, Tom. We just started talking about a $100,000 trade line, and you're saying how I, as a referral partner, can make $2,500. Now you're saying you don't sell trade lines. That doesn't add up. You got to understand the model. That's why I'm asking you, step back, step away a little bit from what you're used to seeing trade lines positioned as, and see this model clearly, and I think you'll love it. So what we've done, instead of selling trade lines, is we created an innovative package Now, this is legal. This package is legal. We worked with a law firm out of Austin. They were one of our first, not the first, one of our first clients. They bought a $3 million portfolio doing this. A large, sophisticated law firm, right? So this isn't something where we're taking advantage of the uninformed. This is actually a very sophisticated approach to building financials that most people just don't understand. But let's dig deeper. So we've created an innovative package whereby clients purchase a portfolio of income producing receivables. So the way I want you to think about trade lines is that no one should buy a trade line, in our humble opinion. But you get trade lines differently. You apply for credit, you get approved for credit, you pay as agreed on the credit, and it reports. So I'll give you an example. I wanted to buy my wife a new car. So we went car shopping. We decided on the Mercedes-Benz 560, $117,000 off the showroom floor. So now I have a trade line from Mercedes-Benz Financial. Did I buy that trade line? No. I applied for credit through Mercedes-Benz Financial, got approved for credit, $0 down, bought that car, and now I pay the $1,799 monthly payments on it, and it reports on my credit. That's an example of a trade line. Same with houses, same with credit cards, same with loans. So trade lines should happen organically as the outcome of financing something. Make sense? So you shouldn't, I don't think, ever be asked to buy a trade line. But you do pay on the trade line because you're paying for the underlying asset. So we call our approach the Collateral Support Program. So we're providing true, legal, ethical, valuable assets to the client that helps accomplish through our packaging these three items. So one more layer deep. So the Collateral Support Program is actually a portfolio of $100,000 of receivables that are immediately transferred to the client. Now, when we do this, this can't be some wink, wink, oh yeah, here it is, because that is not legitimate. That could be called into question. If any of you follow the news, one of our former presidents, President Donald Trump, and I'm not political, so I'm not stating an opinion, but he is under investigation for falsifying his documents to get loans. Well, you and I are not going to be involved with anything that's gray or fuzzy. So when we help a client add $100,000 of receivables to their financials, it's real. We're actually transferring the title of that ownership. It's like a car. If you had a car that you didn't want, and I said, man, I need transportation, you'd say, hey, Tom, I feel bad for you down on your luck, and you give me a car. So if you just give me a car, is it mine? No, we need to transfer the title of the car so I become the legal owner. Or you have a piece of property that you don't want anymore, and I'm down on my luck, I need somewhere to put my tent to live in. And you say, Tom, feel bad for you, here's a lot of land. Does that become mine? No, you'd have to transfer the deed, right? So with assets, there has to be a legal transference. That's what we're doing. We're transferring the title of these receivables to the client. So it's real. It's real. It's not fuzzy. It's not fake. It's true. So as these are real, bona fide assets, they immediately increase the net worth to improve access to loans and funding. Then we turn around and help the client. We're going to call the client the debt buyer. The debt buyer then we work with to liquidate those receivables, which turns into the cash deposits, which we were talking about. So I guess a good analogy, and I forget who taught me this analogy. I think it was Sylvia, but now I forget. It's like buying a rental home. When you go buy a rental home, you don't get the rental home for free. That's too good to be true. But you buy the rental home and then you rent it out, and hopefully there's positive cash flow. There's more money coming in than going out. Well, here, number one, the client is not buying a trade line, but we are financing it. which allows for the reporting. And with that, then the client is receiving the assets, which we then liquidate and turn into positive cash flow, just like the rental home analogy. Hopefully that makes sense. So what a great value proposition. All right, so with that being said, here are the highlights of the $100,000 trade line. You ready? Number one, we don't have to worry about people getting approved for the financing. They're always approved for the financing. We have guaranteed approval. So it's not an issue. Well, and they do have to complete an application, of course, but it's not an issue of will they get approved or not. It's simply if they complete it, they will. Thus, there is no prerequisites. There's no minimum credit score. There's no minimum time in business. This can help build consumer and business credit profiles. It reports as a primary revolving trade line. There's no interest charged. Immediate improvement in the financials. I highlighted too much there. So let's talk about this. So when a client purchases the portfolio, so that's actually what they're buying. They're not buying the trade line. Like I didn't buy the trade line for Mercedes-Benz Financial. I bought the car. And with the car, I financed it. And when I financed it, then it allowed for the trade line. Makes sense, right? Here, we're not taking on a debt as we're taking on an asset. So we've got to figure out where to go reflect this new asset, this $100,000 of receivables that we were just talking about. So normally it will be posted on the business's balance sheet. And we have a client that's going to funding this week. And that's exactly what the lender looked at. They said, wow, this client has collateral. They went a little more detail about it, the AR, but it literally works as collateral. It's an asset that's parked on the business's balance sheet. Now, theoretically, it doesn't have to be on the balance sheet. It could be on the individual's personal financial statement to increase their net worth. Can't be put on both, right? Because the asset either has to be an asset owned by the person or by the business. To count it twice would not be appropriate because we're double counting. Then we have a turnkey program to liquidate the receivables, because having just the receivables added to the company's financials is immediate benefit. They're going to see immediate benefit. The value of their business just went up. Now they have collateral for funding. So they'll see immediate benefit. But then we can turn around and help liquidate those receivables, right? Because what would any CEO of a business want to do? If any CEO of a business had accounts receivable, in other words, people that owed their business money, you would want to liquidate. You'd want to collect that money. Because while the accounts receivable is an asset on your balance sheet, we would rather have cash in our bank account, which is also an asset. So we can help them liquidate those receivables. On the consumer side, obviously, adding a primary trade line has an even additional benefit that can lower revolving utilization, because you add a big primary trade line with low utilization, works very well. And then on the business side, which is really what you and I focus on primarily, is helping businesses become credible for funding. It's huge. Because what most businesses will do is they'll follow like the Credit Suite model. Credit Suite's a great program out of Florida. Have nothing but positive things to say about that organization. But what they'll do is they'll teach you to start with net 30 account. So you're getting a net 30 account with Granger or Uline or this or that. You're spending some money buying some things you'd really rather not buy. It's not liquid. So this is a much better approach to adding a big boy trade line to the credit profile than what most people do currently. And then again, we got the referral program that we talked about here. We have information on our website, but if you become a referral partner, then of course you'll get a version of this flyer and it'll have your information on it instead. And Trevor says they do this all the time in real estate. So thank you for that, Trevor. All right, so who has questions, comments, concerns about the trade line, how it works, the immediate benefit, and now how you can make money off of it? Sylvia, is your question still valid, or did we cover it so that's no longer a question? Sylvia is asking about shelf companies. Sylvia, let me know if we need to go back and revisit that. You posted that a bit earlier in the workshop. All right, so anyone have questions? Okay, Ken is asking about the turnkey program to liquidate, and that's fine. So let's go down to that bullet. So we understand that the client's not buying a trade line. They're actually purchasing for pennies on the dollar from you the $100,000 of receivables, right? We're clear with that. So these are real accounts receivables whereby the title of ownership has been transferred to the client, whom we'll call the debt buyer for this conversation. So now the debt buyer really is owed, not kind of owed, not wink, wink owed, but literally owed $100,000. So that's good. But what would be even better is to turn around and liquidate it. So I'll tell you how we help clients liquidate it if they want our help. They don't have to have us do this. But if they want us to help, what we do is first, we're going to send a demand letter, certified mail, return receipt requested to each of the debtors. So we have the debt buyer, which is your client that bought the portfolio. The debtors are the people that owe your client, that owe the debt buyer. And so we're going to start by sending a piece of mail, demand letter, certified mail, return receipt requested to the debtors to say, hey, you owe the debt buyer money, you need to pay for it, or we're going to sue you and we're going to report it on your credit. So that sometimes works to get people to pay because, again, these are real receivables. We've got to move away from this vagueness. Some people will look at this and say, well, I don't really know what that means. Well, how can you not know what a receivable is? It's money owed to the business, right? It's a contract, legally enforceable contract whereby there's money owed. It's quite simple. So, but to answer Ken's question, so we would start with the demand letter, then we could report it on the debtor's credit, and sometimes that'll motivate them. And then we can also file a breach of contract lawsuit for failure to pay. And we do that now through the district courts. And so those are really the three steps, Ken, that we would normally use. First would be the demand letter. Second would be credit reporting. Third would be the litigation. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, let's see. Trevor says, Trevor, I don't understand your question, so I won't repeat it because I'm confused. All right, so I think we've covered most of this. So our game plan is to first, I guess, reiterate how valuable these primary trade lines are in helping clients become credible, because it literally helps all three other C's. So first, I need you to know that, but I think we're good there. The second is we're looking for a handful of trade line referral partners who will actually be selling these trade lines. They'll sell the trade line typically for $5,000, and then they keep half, and we do the work. So that's the gist for today. Any questions, comments, concerns before we hang it up? And if you're interested, just let us know and we can get you set up. We've got leads that come in. We've got more leads than we can handle. So if you become a trade line referral partner, email us to let us know. We'll get you set up. We'll provide you the training. We'll provide you the marketing materials, for instance, like this flyer, and we can even help you with leads. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't go out and generate your own leads, which you can, but we certainly have leads to share with you as well. All right, so Sylvia, I guess, has the last question. Is this different from the $100,000 trade line? No, no, this is the same. So yeah, we're talking about the same item. All right, well, thanks everyone. We'll see you soon. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.